All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? We are back with the Monday edition of the NBA show. It's your boy Ham. I got my guy Rio here with me. We're here to break down all 6 of these games tonight. Looking forward to it. Should be an exciting slate. It was a great weekend over here at the Nation. My guy Tambo, he's on the cusp, baby. He's on the cusp of getting there. He was right there in the NFL streets. I saw some NBA winners. D-Gen shipped another slate as well. But Hebrew, I'll bring you in right away, man. How was your weekend? How was your NBA? How is your NFL? What's going on? Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday to you too. Really good weekend for me. Profited both the main slate in football and the showdown last night. I think I was a part of the chop before that last catch by Yoshivas. I think that I was winning, but it was probably less than what Tambo ended up winning. I think that was like a 100-way split, and mine was like 150 or something. So not too worried about that, but I profited all my single entry stuff. So that was a good night. Had a couple days off over the weekend. Went to Santa Barbara with the lady and our dog, and just had a nice, relaxing few days. But yeah, I'm ready to dive right back into the NBA. This is a really, really fun slate, in my opinion. Think that it's a slate you could play into some correlation a little bit more, because there's some pretty solid game environments that I'll be excited to talk through. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking through the slate with you.
Yeah, no, looking forward to breaking it all down. If you are brand new, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We did it. It took us a while to get there on Friday to get to 100 likes. We'd love to get to 100 likes to get the people Hebrew's play of the day. Hopefully he came ready, prepared, knowing I was going to call it. But if you aren't a member yet, head on over to SHIPIT Nation. Enter the promo code NBA50. That will get you 50% off of your first month. And we're rocking and rolling at All Sports over here. Let's say hello to some people in the chat. We got my guy Go Collect always in here. Sean Sullivan, wins a lot. Paraby, Max Manning. What's going on, Max? Got a new face. What's up, Chris Voss 65? How you doing? We got Little Neck in here. Our guy Newens. Marquee Sports. What's going on? Laughlin's in here. JT, Jason Turner, always in here. Smacks in here. Gang Green. My guy BJ. Michael Tito Ortiz. And William, as always, is in here. Welcome. Did you watch that MMA? You're a big MMA guy, Rio. What'd you think about that? Your boy Ham was sound asleep, but my guy John Bones Jones got it done. Talk to me a little bit about that MMA. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, it was a pretty fun card. I think everything kind of happened as expected. It was pretty fun. I don't know. I think John Jones still got a lot of tread left on the tires, so hopefully he does not hang it up yet. I would like to see him and Aspinall fight, but I just don't think that's going to happen. We'll see what happens though. I would definitely like to see some more fights from John Jones, but the card itself was a pretty solid card. I think I was winning up going into that last fight with John Jones. I needed him to score somewhere in the 80s, and I would have shipped. He ended up getting like 100 something, and then it was just a 2-way chop, which is pretty cool to see for UFC. Usually it's something a little bit bigger, like in the 15 to 20 range. So some guys profited over 100K a piece, but yeah, definitely wish I would have been a part of that chop.
Yeah, that'd have been nice. Was Jones, was he favored in that matchup?
Oh yeah, he was like minus 1,800 or something like that.
Oh, he was that big of a favorite. Wow.
Maybe not 1,800, but like I think he was minus 900, minus 1,000 or something like that.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. Anyway, let's get him right into it. We got 6 games. My guy Hebrew is going to break it all down. I'm going to share the stone with you. I'm going to pull the stone up real quick. 1 second while I do that. Let me make sure I get on the right screen. Yeah. Well, first off, here we go. You can see my screen now. We're going to get into it. First game, Bulls. They got a track meet going on in Detroit. I love these Bulls games. I feel like they're always fruitful for some daily fantasy scores. Taking on the Pistons, you got Cade Cunningham. You got a laundry list of Bulls. Zach LaVine, we might have some interest in. Talk to me a little bit about this game. The Pistons favored by 4.5. Got almost a 120-point implied total. Bulls at Pistons. Talk me through this one, Hebrew.
Yeah, this is arguably one of the best slates, or one of the best games on the entire slate. There's a lot of pretty big totals on this slate. One of them is a huge blowout that we'll talk about in a little bit, but this one is going to be a pretty solid game environment, as most Bulls games have been. Chicago, bottom 6 defensive rated team right now, first in pace, dead last in rim defense, bottom 4 pick and roll defense, bottom 4 transition defense. So they're just giving it up all around the court. So we should see some pretty big scores from the Detroit side. Detroit been one of the better defensive teams all year long. They're playing a lot slower in pace, but we've seen teams kind of pick it up playing against Chicago. So I definitely have a ton of interest in this game, mainly on the Detroit side, but I'll go through the Chicago stuff really quickly because I think there are a few angles we could play. Over the past week or so, we've seen the Pistons give up some really big games to opposing centers. Had Joval put up 13 and 10 off the bench. Jakob Poeltl had arguably his best game of the entire season, putting up 15, 18, 3 assists, 4 stocks, and 61 DK points. Brook Lopez in that overtime game had 29 and 8 to go along with 8 stocks, and then Bam had 20 and 12. So they're giving up some really big games to opposing big men. I do have interest in Vooch for that reason, but the thing with Vooch is he's doesn't profile similarly to all these other guys. Like, he really does little to nothing in the steals and blocks area, and that's kind of where we've seen these centers put up big games. But I think the early season numbers for Detroit defensively were a little bit lopsided. I think they're kind of playing above their head. I do think Isaiah Stewart is a really solid defender, but Jalen Duren's still really young and can make a ton of mistakes. So I do like Vucevic a little bit here in this game environment. Zach LaVine will be the second player for me on the Bulls side. 7K is a really good price tag for him. Should be good to go from a minutes perspective. This Bulls team got actually absolutely blown out last game against the Rockets. I think they lost by more than 30 points. So we should be able to see full minutes from all these guys. And LaVine definitely has big upside when he's seen 34, 36 minutes. Saw him put up a near triple-double against the New York Knicks a couple of games ago, 56 DK points. And he was somebody you needed on that slate. So I think if we're getting some multiple Detroit guys, I would be interested in having some correlated pieces on the other side, and it would definitely be Vooch and LaVine for me. But then Patrick Williams has also been playing really well outside of the last game where he didn't really play a ton of minutes. He's put together a string of really strong performances, put up no less than 30 DK points in, I believe it was 4 straight games before last night's game. And this is above average, slightly above average spot in terms of DVP numbers versus power forwards. I think that he makes some sense at 4.8K. And then on the Pistons side, yeah, Cade has got to be one of the best spin-ups on the entire slate in my eyes. Definitely one of the bigger Cade fans on the SHIPIT Nation team, so I'm always kind of touting him. But, I mean, it's definitely warranted in this spot. He's been just playing lights out this season, had triple-doubles in 4 of his last 8 games. In 2 of the 4 games that he didn't get a triple-double, he still had a double-double. Been shown the ceiling of 70 DK points, put up 60 a couple times. But, yeah, I mean, he just has such an elite role towards the top of the league in touch time, usage rate, assist percentage, towards the top of the league in drives per game. The matchup for Chicago is probably one of the best ones on the slate in terms of matchup versus point guards DVP-wise. The Chicago Bulls are bottom 2 in DVP versus point guards, as well as ranking dead last in pick-and-roll defense, and Cade is 4th in the league currently in pick-and-roll scoring. So I just think there's a ton of upside for Cade in this matchup, so I will definitely want to get a ton of him, and he's definitely a possible core play. I think Jaden Ivey makes a ton of sense, though, if you're not playing Cade. I think one of these guys puts up a really big score, and in 20 max, I would possibly even consider just having one of these guys across all my rosters because I feel that confident that one of these guys gets there tonight. Ivy is just behind Cade in terms of usage and assist percentage. They like to stagger Ivy away from Cade in the second unit so he can kind of run that a little bit. And then the Bulls are the second worst team in DVP versus shooting guard. So equally as good of a matchup for Ivy, and you're paying almost 3K less than you are for Cade, but Cade definitely has a higher upside. Tobias is kind of just a fine cash game play. He's always hovering in that like 30-point range. Probably has a bit more upside in this game environment with the pace of it that the Bulls are going to be bringing. So a little bit of tournament appeal for Tobias. And then I probably won't be getting to Duren here. He struggled to put up big fantasy scores against literally 2 of the best spots versus centers. He kind of busted against Toronto and Washington, only put up 25 and 28 DK points. So I'm a little bit lower on Duran right now, even though he'll probably project decently. Tim Hardaway Jr. going to return tonight. He's probable, but there's a chance that they bring him off the bench, which kind of makes Malik Beasley a little bit interesting, but he's 5.1K, so not guaranteed to get a ton of minutes, and there's probably some better values on the slate. So definitely like Cade and Ivy on the Pistons side, and then Vooch, Levine, and Patrick Williams on the Chicago side.
Got a question from Marquis. Could you play Cade and Ivy in the same lineup, or because it's kind of tough to both reach their ceiling in such a small slate?
I wouldn't group them away from each other. They both got their last game against Washington, and Ivy only played 30 minutes. He put up 47 DK points. So, yeah, I think you could definitely play them together. I probably wouldn't go out of my way to do it, but not something that I'm like shying away from.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. Yeah, these Bulls, you just see a track meet. I think it was Friday night. It was like 78-73 at halftime of that game. But, yeah, excellent breakdown on that. Cade's in a great spot. Let's move on to the next game where we got a little bit of injury news. We got Joel Embiid is doubtful for the 76ers taking on the Miami Heat in South Florida. We got the Scary Terry is out. And I don't know, this Cam the Man, how about that Jared McCain guy? I don't know. Did I slander this McCain kid or something? All he's doing is putting up 50-point games night in, night out with no Tyrese Maxey. So talk to me a little bit about this game. You got the revenge game, Kyle Lowry revenge game. Hebrew, I know you're a big fan of Kyle Lowry, going back to his old stomping grounds. Sixers at Miami, 5-point dogs. Talk to me. Low total game. So talk to me a little bit about this game.
Yeah, you got a couple revenge games on the Sixers side. Caleb Martin and then Jimmy Butler against his old team in the Sixers. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of this is an interesting game to break down because both these teams, they don't really provide the best game environments. Both these teams pretty slow pace, bottom six in pace for both these teams. But they're both kind of below average defensively. There are some pretty big mismatches in terms of the matchups for the defensive stuff. But the Heat are allowing a good amount of 3-pointers right now. Their rim defense has been well below average in comparison to the years prior. Sixers are bottom six pick and roll defense, below average in transition defense. The Heat are allowing a ton of catch and shoot points, which is kind of in line with where they were last year. So there's a little bit of appeal in this game. Definitely a lower total, so not something I'm looking to go overboard. Maybe grab a piece or two from each side. But yeah, on the Sixers side, I think that Jared McCain is probably one of the best values on the entire slate with Embiid out. He's right behind Paul George in terms of usage with Embiid off the court this season, 30.5% usage rate. He's a lot better on a point per minute basis, averaging 1.22 fantasy points per minute. I don't think that you're really too scared off about this matchup. You're probably going to see it depends who the Heat start because they are going to be missing Rozier, like you said. If it's Josh Richardson, maybe that's a little bit of a hit on his upside, but nothing I should be too worried about and looking to go away from. I just think that McCain is probably $1,000 underpriced right now with no Embiid. So he looks like one of the best values on the entire slate. And then Paul George, I think he's got a bit of upside at this price tag, 8.3K, even in a slower paced game environment. He got up to 36 minutes last time versus Orlando. They've said that the minutes restriction for him is off. He does lead the team in usage in a 140-ish minute sample, but he's only averaging 1.18 fantasy points per minute. So not a smash play by any means and not the greatest in game environment. So, but he's definitely should remain in the player pool, but I prefer Jared McCain. And then depending on who starts for Philly, it's probably going to be Yabusele, but they might want to go with more size and put Drummond down there. I think Drummond would be a pretty solid GPP play if he does get the start. It's not been great for him this season in terms of what we had come to expect from Drummond when he's filling in for some of these centers. I don't even know what his best score was this year, but he's just been fouling left and right. He's been getting played off the floor. He's terrible defensively. But they might want to go with a little bit more size here against Bam. And the Heat have been pretty bad DVP-wise versus centers. They're bottom 4 in the league currently. So kind of an interesting spot to attack for Drummond. I would probably look to fade Yabusele if he's getting any sort of ownership at 4.6K. Just not really somebody that is gonna kill you for fading him. We've only seen like really one huge game from him. He had a 40-point game. I think that was off the bench against Phoenix, but the game against Cleveland, he was pretty solid, but he had 5 assists, and I just don't think that we're going to be be seeing him get many assists on a night-to-night basis. You see a lot of zeros mixed in there when you look at his game log with Paul George in there. I just don't think that we would need to go to a guy like Yabusele. Caleb Martin's going to play a ton of minutes, but I just don't know if there's really a ton of upside for him there. So, yeah, it's really just McCain for me, and then I would probably sprinkle in a little bit of Paul George. And then on the Heat side, I like the matchup the most for Tyler Hero, even with Jimmy returning. He looks pretty expensive sharing the court with all these guys, but it is the best matchup on paper for him versus a team that is struggling to defend pick and roll guys. So I don't think that his role is going to change too much with Butler back in the lineup. Definitely going to take away a little bit of ball handling from him, but I think that he's got the best matchup on paper. And then, this should be a lot easier for Bam to get it going with Drummond and Yabusele down low. So he looks pretty solid at 8.5K, but I do prefer some of the other center options. And then Jovic and Robinson probably going to get a little bit of attention with no Rozier. I think Duncan has a good chance to start here. He's played pretty well lately, 30-plus DK points in 3 of his last 5 games. That's pretty much all I'm looking to. I do like Hero a little bit, and I like these values on the Heat side.
Yeah, when you talk about value on the Heat side, I was going to ask you about former Tennessee great Jay Rich, Josh Richardson, played 25 minutes back-to-back games. Any love for him? We got him showing us starting. Any interest in him as a cheap piece, 3,700?
I would hope that he's starting and then people kind of flock to him, because I would rather just play Duncan Robinson for 200 more and probably a fraction of the ownership. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. It depends, though, what his minute projection is going to look like, because 30 minutes from a guy that's 3.7K would project really well. But I do kind of prefer Duncan Robinson straight up. So, yeah, the starters matters, and then minutes projection matters is kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. McCain just been absolutely on fire. Little Neck talking, giving AI comparisons. Newens doesn't like that slander either. But, yeah, McCain, way too cheap for a TikToker. He plays basketball pretty good. Great breakdown on that one. Hey, we're 2 games into this 6-game slate. We got about 200 of you watching. Make sure you're hitting that like. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe. We got about 50 likes. We'd love to get to 100 today. You could help us out a ton over here by doing that. Just click that little thumbs up sign right there, real quick and simple. Hey, I was just giving you crap, Little Neck, saying he hadn't done it. I know you weren't comparing him to AI. Moving on to the next game on this slate, we have the Wizards going into New York to take on these Knicks. No major injuries that I'm seeing. You do have McBride is out, but all the big boys from both sides are slated to play. From what I can see, it's a pretty big spread. Hebrew Knicks should blow them out according to Vegas. Gonna score 124 points. Talk to me a little bit about this game. Any OG love for you? Brunson, Cat's been balling out of control. And any bringbacks on the opposite side, Wizards at the Knicks.
Yeah, definitely another really solid game environment with the Wizards just being – they're still I think they're dead last in defensive rating this team in this season. So definitely a spot you want to load up on some of these Knicks guys. But I mean, the Knicks themselves have struggled. They've struggled at times defensively, mainly with their 3-point defense. They're bottom 6 in the league. They're also surprisingly bottom 3 in pick and roll defense. So this is kind of, I don't know if this could be a letdown spot in terms of if you're a betting man, you're betting the spread on the Knicks, but I think they played yesterday, and all these guys played a ton of minutes. Brunson played only 34, but Josh Hart played 46. Mikal Bridges played 40, 45. OG played 40. Luckily, Cat and Brunson were kind of limited. Cat only played 30, and then Brunson played 34, so nothing too crazy there. But yeah, I don't know. They could introduce some guys into the rotation here with no Miles McBride. Probably still going to run it pretty tight, but maybe we see a little bit of Matt Ryan, a little bit more campaign, things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a great spot to attack on the Knicks side. But I'll touch on the Knicks guys really quickly and then head over to the Washington side. Cat has got to be the best play on the entire slate in terms of spend up. He's still just way too cheap. He's on an insane roll right now. This should be a really good spot for him. The Wizards are dead last in DVP, so you got that going for him. Their bottom roll in pick and roll man defense, where Cat is 3rd in the league in that category. And he's on an insane tear right now, going for 50-plus DK points in 7 of his last 9 games, gone for 60-plus in 3 of those games, and then 70 once. So you could argue that he's probably $1,000 underpriced. And should definitely smash in this matchup versus a weak defender. And Alex Sarri's definitely still learning his way in the league, but he's given up some really big games to opposing big men. So I think that Cat has got to be one of the best spin-ups on the entire slate. Brunson is in equally as good of a spot as Cat, although the one thing that Brunson does the best is the pick and roll stuff, where Wizards aren't terrible against that, but they're not great. They are bottom 3 in DVP versus point guards this season. So this could be a spot where we see Brunson take over, but $100 more, you give me Towns all day. Hart is very tough to nail down. I could definitely see a game where Hart puts up a triple-double versus a team that probably going to be missing a ton of shots. The Knicks should be able to score a ton, so he's going to have rebounding and assist opportunities. He's very expensive, so you're going to need a triple-double from him to hit some optimal lineups, but he's definitely shown that upside. He's had 40+ in a couple of the last games, so I think that he's in a really good spot here. It's just tough to nail down when he's this expensive. I liked him a lot more when he's in the mid 6Ks. And then Bridges and OG, both very strong plays tonight. They've both been really, really consistent. The minutes are obviously going to be there for both of them. Bridges kind of showed a little bit of a ceiling a couple of games ago, put up almost 40 in that game that Cat missed. And then OG's kind of been hovering around that like upper 30, and the rebounding numbers have been really good for OG, 8+ rebounds in three straight games. So they're Bridges and OG are like the 1A, 1B options in terms of the secondary pieces for the Knicks. And then if I was looking to get like 2 to 3 Knicks in my rosters, I would probably want to look to correlate and just hope that this game stays close, and then we get more of a back and forth affair, and we get some true ceiling outcomes from all sides of this game. But Jordan Poole is definitely the guy that makes the most sense to me. I know it's gross. I know that Sean was not on him today. He's the Poole whisperer, but I do kind of think that this is a pretty decent spot for him. At 7.1K, the Knicks are struggling to defend the 3-point line. Definitely a spot that Poole can take over right there. He's shown upside in certain matchups against San Antonio and Atlanta that are kind of similar in a way. Put at 59 against San Antonio, then 40 against Atlanta. The Knicks are giving up a ton of pick and roll scoring right now, bottom 3 in the league, and Poole is by far the best pick and roll scorer for the Wizards. So I think that he's got a little bit of upside in here. And I would definitely be looking to him if I'm looking to correlate some pieces. Kuzma is just a little bit too expensive right now. He's kind of capped in the 29-minute range, so probably won't go there. They did add Malcolm Brogdon back into the equation, so it's taken off a lot of the minutes upside on Bub Carrington. So I can't go there. But Koulibaly, if he were to get ruled out, that does condense the rotation a little bit, and that's leaving behind a ton of minutes. He's questionable with some sort of head injury. I didn't see exactly what it was, but if he were to miss, probably going to see one of Kispert or Keyshawn George in the starting lineup, and I think either one of them would make some sense. They've talked about Keyshawn George just allowing him to shoot the ball more, so good matchup for 3-point shooters, and we already know that Corey Kispert is a good 3-point shooter. So if one of these guys is starting and seeing close to 30 minutes, I think that they're pretty decent value plays with some upside. But as it stands right now, I'm not looking to go out of my way to get to these Wizards.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. Josh Hart plus 850 to record a triple-double. Hebrew just guaranteed that, so make sure you head to the local ticket window to bet the triple-double. I was going to pull something up for a second. Any excuse not to play Cat tonight, Hebrew? Your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I guess the only thing is the possible blowout, but even then, like we've seen times in blowouts where it's a lot of like one guy doing most of the damage. I don't know. Cat's playing too good right now. He's kind of the alpha for this team. It's still Brunson. Like Brunson still has the same usage and the same role as last season, but Cat is just playing like a 11K player. So I don't know if I would be looking to fade him in single entries. I think you just play him.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is this is their third game in 4 nights. Cat did miss Friday night, but if they're up 30 going into the fourth, does Tibbs bring them out? That's something obviously you're not going to build for, but and Cat did miss Friday night. Last question before we move on: any love for Campaign or Kolek, the rookie from Marquette, as value pieces?
If you expect the game to blow out, then they both make some sense. Campaign has kind of always been a really solid point per minute guy, so you could make a case that he has some value with the point guard, shooting guard eligibility, and no McBride, but not somebody I'm going on my way to play. It would really just be if I'm expecting the game to be like well out of hand going into the fourth quarter and we get like a full quarter of Campaign or Tyler Kolek.
Nice. And then it looks like Bully got hit in the mouth, according to Kid Lightning. I did not see that either, but that's what Kid Lightning said. Excellent breakdown. That's 3 games in. We're halfway home. We got a pretty good one next coming up. We got the Pacers taking on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jakob Poeltl. I think I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hebrew, but he's just been balling out of control. This is an interesting game. You got Miles Turner coming off a 34 real-life point performance last night. He's listed as questionable. So we got that news. We obviously have Scotty Barnes missing, Quickly still out. We have Nembhard who's still missing, Neesmith still missing for the Pacers. A lot of injuries in this game. The chat's talking a lot about this. I saw a TJ McConnell lock earlier in the chat. Talk to me a little bit about this game with all these injuries. Let's play it as if Miles Turner is going to sit, Hebrew. Pacers at the Raptors.
Yeah, I think you forgot to mention Ben Shepherd, who has been
yep.
Yeah, he's been starting for Andrew Nembhard as a shooting guard, so he's out too. So yeah, we're going to see somebody new in the starting lineup. My guess it's going to be Jarris Walker starting for Ben Shepherd, and then they're going to slide Bennett Mathurin down to the shooting guard position. But yeah, I mean, if Turner misses, I just don't see how you don't get to like 3 of these Pacers easily. Like you'd probably want Jarris Walker, you'd probably want Obi Toppin, and then you can make a case that like Siakam, Mathurin, Halliburton should be in that lineup as well. Maybe even 4. Because they just don't have enough bodies. Like they're probably going to be running a 8.5 to 9-man rotation right now, and it would for sure go down to 8 should Miles Turner miss. So yeah, I think that if we do get that news that he were to miss, it was a midday downgrade, so there is a chance. Then I think Siakam becomes a very, very good play at 7.2K. This is a little bit of a revenge spot going back to Toronto for him. But he sees a really big bump in rebounding. His rebounding percentage climbs up 3 points to 13.7%, and then usage goes up to 25%. He's averaging 1.35 fantasy points per minute with Turner off the court. Probably going to play 36 to 40 minutes tonight. He's cheaper than Halliburton, 100 or 1,000 cheaper. So he's probably going to play some center minutes as well because if Turner misses, they literally don't have a true center on the roster. Like Toppin, he's more of a power forward. Enrique Freeman, he's an undersized center. He's only 6'7", probably not going to play a ton of minutes either. So Siakam is going to have to play a good amount of center minutes. And this is a game that could go small. Toronto doesn't really have a lot of guys behind Jakob Poeltl that can fill in at center. It's probably going to be a lot of Chris Boucher, that other kid, Mobo. So yeah, this game could go small, and Siakam would have a ton of upside, I think. Halliburton, the role looks kind of back to normal. He's just under 6 minutes of touch time per game, 21% usage rate, 37% assist percentage. Should run into a decently tough defender in Davion Mitchell on the other side. His shot volume just really not there right now, so it's kind of tough to pay this tag, even in a spot that Miles Turner could miss. I think a big reason why I kind of want to fade Halliburton is because I do expect TJ McConnell to share the floor with him a lot now with no Ben Shepherd. They're probably just going to run a lot of 2-guard lineups with TJ and Halliburton. And TJ he's a really high usage guy. He needs the ball in his hands a lot, and he has the ball in his hands a lot when he's on the court, even sharing the court with Tyrese Halliburton. So I think that the upside might be a little bit capped with him and TJ sharing the court together a lot, and I would probably just pay $4K less for a similar upside. As crazy as it sounds, like we know that TJ is just a point per minute monster when he's on the court, and if you tell me we're getting 25 minutes from him tonight, he's probably one of the better values on the entire slate. And then Mathurin, I think that he's totally fine at 6.5K, been very consistent filling in for Aaron Neesmith. He had his first down game against Miami the other night where he went for 13.5 fantasy points, I believe. But outside that, he's top 30 DK points in every single game that Neesmith has been out. So he looks really solid, just over 1 fantasy point per minute with Turner off the court, but should see upper 30s minutes. And then, yeah, I already mentioned Toppin. I would definitely be looking to him if Turner gets ruled out. But also the other side, like if Turner gets ruled in, this is a great spot for him. Toronto is bottom 2 in DVP versus centers this season. They're bottom 3 defensive rated team, so it's a really good spot for him. The Raptors are allowing over 3 blocks per game to centers and just under 2 steals per game. That's kind of what you want to see when you're playing a guy like Miles Turner. You want him to kind of hit in a big way with the steals and blocks upside. So I think that he would be a very, very good GPP play. Maybe people are kind of scared off with the questionable tag, but I would imagine that if he plays, he's a full go. And I love the matchup. I love attacking bigs against Jakob Poeltl, so I would be looking to him. And then this is another game that I would kind of want to correlate some of these pieces, because if Turner does miss and we're getting 3 to 4 Pacers in our lineup, I think the best way you can kind of maximize their upside is to get another piece on the other side. So RJ Barrett makes a ton of sense. It's a really good spot for forwards. He had his first triple-double last game in a really tough matchup against Boston. The price has come down a little bit. I believe he was like right under 9K for a few games. But, this is a really good game environment, and he should be able to get some easy points at the rim versus a really weak rim defense in Indiana. So I like RJ Barrett a bit here. And then Jakob Poeltl has been on absolute tear the last couple of games, put 52.5 DK points, 61 DK points in 2 tougher on-paper matchups. The shot volume kind of ticked up a little bit, 20 and 19 over the last 2 games. I think that people might be overstating the matchup for centers against Indy, because I do see a lot of centers get some exposure when they're facing off against Indiana team, because they do have a weak rim defense, and Miles Turner, good shot blocker, but not the greatest all-around defender. But the Pacers are bottom 10 in rim defense, but they're top 9 in DVP versus centers. So that's kind of a below-average matchup. But I do think that if Turner were to miss, it becomes a lot easier for a guy like Jakob Poeltl, who's, it's looking like RJ Barrett and Poeltl's team right now. So he maybe, I would say underpriced, but there's still a ton of upside for him at this 7.7K price tag if Miles Turner were to miss. Grady Dick would be in consideration of guys that I would look to stack if I have 3 or more Pacers, although I do like him a lot better in matchups versus 3-point funnels, whereas the Pacers are more of a rim funnel. But he's shown some upside when things are going. Kind of the same thing for Ochai Agbaji. I don't think anybody's going to play these guys. We've seen Agbaji put up a pretty solid game against the Clippers, went up for 39. But other than that, he's probably going to be in like the upper 20s at best. But he is playing a ton of minutes. So, yeah, pretty much everybody Agbaji and up is still in my player pool. Don't really think we need to go to Davion Mitchell or Chris Boucher. That's how I'm seeing this one.
Yeah, fantastic breakdown. I mean, if Turner does sit, they're just not going to have any bigs, obviously, like you said. It's going to be Siakam. It's going to be, him and Walker be the 2 tallest out there. But, man, this should be an exciting game. I like this game, and I like the Bulls game. Excellent breakdown. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe. We got 2 games left, I believe. Yeah, 2 games left. Need to get to 100 likes. Give you Hebrew's play of the day. We have the Rockets, Fred Van Cheeks going into Milwaukee. Is it Dame time? Is Giannis going to play? Is Dame going to play? Those Bucks, they're beat up. They're beat up there in Milwaukee. But talk to me a little bit about this game. Rockets at the Bucks, about a 225-point total.
Yeah, I think outside of the Philly and Miami game, this one has the least fantasy appeal in my eyes. Obviously, you have big names like Giannis and Dame, but the Rockets, they're just playing really good defense right now. They are currently the 3rd best defensive rated team. They're limiting rim scoring. 3-point defense is good. Their transition defense is towards the top half of the league. So this looks like a spot where I could see more of a defensive battle. The Bucks, on the other hand, they've been playing pretty bad defensively. They are a huge 3-point funnel, ranking 3rd in rim defense, but allowing the 3rd most 3-pointers per game. Also giving up a good amount of transition scoring. Adding back in another really weak defender in Damian Lillard is going to make things a lot worse for their defense. I want to see the projected lineup because I think that does matter. So if Andre Jackson's back in there, that's pretty solid because they were starting AJ Green for a little bit, but that was kind of in place of Lillard. Back to the game. On the Houston side, I think that Fred VanVleet is a pretty solid play. Fred Van Cheeks, 6.8K. He's been playing really good lately. The adding Lillard back to starting lineup, like I mentioned, going to make their defense a lot worse versus guards. They're currently bottom 3 DVP versus point guards. I'm hoping / thinking that Andre Jackson will be on Jalen Green tonight. If it's on Fred VanVleet, and that's a little bit tougher, but the peripheral numbers have been really strong for Fred last 4 games put up 5+ rebounds and assists apiece. So, that's really adding a really solid floor. And then you just add the uptick in shooting volume. He has 49 shot attempts over his last 3 games. Shooting the ball really well from 3-point range. This is a really good spot to attack 3-point shooters against the Bucks. I have to double check when I get a little break, but I think that the Bucks, they're kind of they're really bad against pick and roll guys last year, and I think that's kind of the same this year. And definitely adding Damian Lillard back into the equation is going to make things a lot easier for a guy like Fred VanVleet. So I like him a ton. I think Amen Thompson still has a lot of upside at 5.4K with a fully healthy team. His minutes, if they were to come up, that would be at the expense of Jabari Smith and Jalen Green most likely. So I probably would only want to max one of those two if I had Thompson. But either way, you're not really looking to get to those guys because they won't project that well in this game environment. But yeah, he doesn't really need a lot of minutes to get there. Put up 40 DK points against Chicago in just 22 minutes. The Bucks are giving up a ton of transition scoring, which is right up Amen Thompson's alley. If you consider him a point guard, shooting guard, whatever it is, it should be a pretty solid matchup for him. So I think that he has some decent upside. I'll definitely be mixing him into some tournaments. That's really all I'm looking to. I don't really want to go to Sengun in a spot versus Brook Lopez and this Bucks team that's just got really good rim protectors down low. And then Jalen Green, I just don't think that he does enough for me. Even with the price tag coming down, you really need like 30 to 40 real-life points for him to have a GPP-worthy score. On the Bucks side, it's pretty much just Giannis or bust, and I'm not even that excited about him. Mention all the numbers for the Rockets defensively. It's just a really tough spot. They have enough bodies they can throw at him. Jabari Smith is a good defender. Tari Easton, good defender. They might even throw Dylan Brooks on him a little bit. We should probably have enough salary to get up to Giannis. So if if you have your favorite lineup and you have 12K left over, then just play Giannis and kind of, you're kind of guaranteed 55, 60 points with upside for more. But definitely adding Lillard back in, we'll take a little bit of usage off of him, but he's playing really good right now. So a lot of things going for him, but the matchup is kind of enough for me to not want to go out of my way to play him. I like these game environments and the other games we talked about a lot more.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Dame, Giannis, the two biggest pieces there to see if they're in the lineup, and it's always Dame time. I like Dame. Dame's my favorite if he does play at 9,200 in this game. We got one game left. We got the Magic with Franz Wagner taking on the Suns. I saw where Nurkic is going to miss tonight's game. I think Bradley Beal is out for a few games as well. Obviously, we have Banchero still out for Orlando going into the desert. Anybody else? KD is out as well. So, I mean, you really have book. I mean, KD and Bill or KD missed the other night. Nurk is missing again. Tyus Jones is in the lineup. Talk to me a little bit about this game, Hebrew. It's the last one of the night on this DK main slate, Orlando at Phoenix.
Yeah, Magic playing great this season without Paulo. I think their numbers are a little bit worse when they're on the road, but just kind of touch on their defensive stats because they are probably the best, one of the best overall defensive teams, really, really solidly coached team are the Magic, but they're second in defensive rating, second rim defense, third in three-point defense. So really tough go for a lot of these Suns guys. The Suns are giving up the second most pick and roll ball handler points. So it's a pretty solid spot for whoever's going to be, leading the charge there in terms of ball handling for the Magic. And it should be Franz because in the 9 games since Paulo has missed, he's first on the team in touch time. So should have the ball in his hands a ton. And he's been playing exceptional with Paulo out. Definitely earned every single bit of this 9.1K price tag. Starting to flash a bit of a ceiling too, 63 and 55.5 DK points in 2 of his last 3 games. Has not been below 41 DK points in 6 straight games. So yeah, this should be a fine spot for him. I find it tough to get to him in comparison to guys like Cade and Cat, but completely different position. So if we have the money for him at a small forward position or power forward position we need to fill, I think that you should feel pretty confident about him being the last man in your lineup. Have not seen the same upside that we did earlier in the season from Suggs, and the price continues to stay in the 7K range, so I'm probably not going to be going there. It is a decent spot, though, in terms of the pick and roll stuff. He's tied for touch time since Paulo's gone out with Franz, so he should have the ball in his hands a lot, but I'd rather get up to Franz if I'm getting to any of these Magic guys, I don't really think we'll need to go to Goga or Mo Wagner tonight. They should still be in your player pool because they both still pretty solid point per minute guys. I would definitely be max one of those two. And then Jonathan Isaac kind of seen a bit of a uptick in playing time last couple of games, 22 and 25 minutes over his last two, 11 and 9 rebounds over those 2 games, and put up 30.25 and 26.25 DK points. Really good spot for power forwards. Suns are dead last in DVP to power forwards this season, so I think that he's a pretty solid value. Hopefully he goes a little bit overlooked. I don't know if he will. And then on the Phoenix side, I just think it's tough to get to Booker for the same reasons I mentioned. It's a lot better spot for Cade at cheaper tag, and I think he has better upside probably. Booker probably going to be defended a lot by KCP, maybe even a little bit of Suggs, 2 very good on-ball defenders, and they've kind of talked about getting him off ball a little bit more, but he does see a really big usage bump, obviously, with all the injury stuff. 5.4% usage rate increase with Nurkic, KD, and Beal off the court, and then averaging 1.44 fantasy points per minute. So he definitely could get it done, and it's probably going to be 1% owned. So I don't think that you should be Xing him out if you're MMEing tonight, because he still has upside, and Orlando is a lot worse defensively on the road, but not somebody I'm going to be looking to in single entry. I think Tyus Jones is a pretty interesting option, though, especially now with Nurkic out. We haven't really seen a big minute sample with Tyus on the court and all these guys off the court, but Budenholzer kind of talked about getting the ball out of Booker's hands a little bit more, so that means it's probably going to be in Tyus Jones' hands. He's a really good passer, has solid assist numbers this season. Could be used as a pivot off of Jared McCain for a lot cheaper, and equally as bad of a game environment, probably a little bit worse of a role as well, but he still has a pretty big role for this team. And the Magic are the worst. The one spot you want to attack the Magic is with point guards. They're bottom 6 in DVP this season, although it's probably a little bit little lopsided from some early season numbers, but they've kind of been consistently in that lower bottom 10 DVP versus point guards range this season for point guards. So I think that Tyus Jones is a very interesting option. And then Plumlee, the one time he did start for Nurkic this season, put up 39 DK points. Much easier matchup though. That was against Utah, but they're going to need his size. The Magic present a ton of size in the front court, so I think that Plumlee probably going to be playing 30 plus minutes tonight, and he's always been a really solid point per minute guy. So I'll be looking to get to some of him. Going to have to up his projection a little bit to get there because he just won't project that well, and he's not a pure punt anymore at 4.8K, but definitely still in play. And then Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal are 2 guys I would consider because they see really big usage bumps and really big increases in their fantasy production with the current injury situation. I just think that they probably provide them a better chance to win. Maybe they want to play Okogie a little bit more because they need some on-ball defense on Franz. But I think either way, Royce should be out there for a ton of minutes, probably in place of Ryan Dunn. So I would probably max one of them, and then kind of the same thing for Okogie and Allen, be max one of those 2 guys. And I think that's probably as low as we need to go. If you wanted to go lower, Iguodaro, 3.4K. He's been playing a good amount of minutes. Doesn't really do too much. Has the worst shot in the league, but he's only 3.4K, so you're not really asking for too much out of him.
It's worse than Mikal Bridges' shot. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, have you not seen it? It's pretty bad.
No, yeah, I saw him in warm-ups one night. Yeah, it is pretty bad. I think he played 27 minutes last night. Booker had a good game. Yeah, Tyus Jones, 11 assists last night. So they did play late last night, up and down game with the Timberwolves, not the T-Wolves, the Timberwolves, I've been told. But yeah, should be a good game. That'll do it over here for us. That's all 6 games. If you are new, make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got about 10 more likes to get the Hebrew's top plays of the day. If you aren't a member yet, head on over to the Nation. Enter the promo code NBA50. That'll give you 50% off of your first month. We'd love to have you over at the Nation. One more thing I'm going to show them, Hebrew, before we get out of here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, then I'm going to show them. I'm going to give them a little sneak peek. I'm going to give them a little sneak peek of the secret sauce over here, also known as your slate plan. I'm telling you, folks, this is the best write-up that you'll see in the NBA DFS industry out there. Hebrew breaks it down, all the top plays, 3 different buckets. He has the studs, 8,600, and a breakdown of why he thinks you should be playing those guys all the way down to the mid-tier. Then we have some value as well. I'm telling you, this, folks, right here is the best in the business. Head on over to the Nation. We love to have you over there. Let's see where we are at the likes. We're at 98. Hey, Ham's in a good mood today. Ham's going to watch some football. He's going to watch some basketball. America's team. Who you got in the football game tonight, Hebrew?
It's got to be the Texans.
Got to be the Texans. Yeah, America's team. Not looking very good. Hey, there's not going to be any sun, though, tonight blocking. CD can't complain about the sun tonight, so that's good to know. All right, Hebrew, give me a I'm gonna be looking at your slate plan, but give me a stud, and then give me a low owned or a value guy that you're going to be playing tonight. Can't be Jared McCain either. Give me a value guy and a stud.
Yeah, it's a little bit tougher because all the studs it's a pretty small slate, and there's not a ton of high price guys. We don't have Jokic, we don't have Luka, we don't have AD and LeBron. So ownership is going to be definitely condensed around these top guys, but I just don't see how. I think Cade has a massive game tonight. I think a triple-double is very much in play. Love attacking the Chicago defense. So I would definitely be playing Cade in my single entries tonight, and Towns too, if I would give a second one. But definitely Cade tonight. I love him as a spend up at 9.3K, even with Ivy returning back to full health. I just think that Cade is a man on a mission this year. He looks really good. So yeah, Cade is my guy up top. And then in terms of the value plays, as a guy in the last game that I mentioned, I think Tyus Jones is a very interesting, both point guards, the two guys I mentioned. But I think Tyus Jones is a very interesting pivot off of McCain. I don't think you have to pivot off of McCain, but you can definitely play them together because we are allowed 3 guard spots. So, Cade, McCain, Tyus could easily be in your lineups. But I think that Tyus is going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more tonight. And I did see Little Neck mention this has been a theme for a lot of teams recently playing this Phoenix team. They can just kind of throw doubles at Devin Booker. They don't really have a ton of guys you're too worried about off ball, especially if you're starting guys like Okogie and Ryan Dunn, not the most prolific scorers. But, that kind of gets me on to Tyus a little bit more. I think that the assist numbers are going to be solid for him. I think he has a bigger on-ball role tonight. And, I like his upside tonight. Coming off a game where he did put up a double-double and 43 DK points, been pretty solid. Some down games, some 16-pointers against OKC, really big letdown against Utah, but I think that he bounces back tonight.
Yeah, no, excellent stuff right there. I'm going to go with my stud's going to be Pascal Siakam taking on his former mates north of the border. Really like Siakam, and then also like another player in that game, same team, Jarris Walker. I really like Jarris Walker as well at 4-3. I think he gets 25-plus minutes tonight. We certainly appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate that. We appreciate you tuning in. If you are listening to this on replay, hit that like, hit that subscribe. My guy Hebrew will be back with you tomorrow with BJ. I'll be back Friday. And I think Hebrew's here on Wednesday as well. For Hebrew, I'm Ham. Good luck tonight in your contest. Let's ship it.